going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, along with Kristen. This is FLIX Fix. We're talking DC. Kristen, how are you?
I'm the reason we didn't have a show last week. Sorry, guys.
We just keep, now that we have, like, the Joker trilogy planned, we just keep pushing that out as the plan as we get, like, other single, like, one-off plans, so it's fine. We're doing stuff eventually, and I mean, Joker's DC, so we went on a long Marvel kick, maybe now we'll go on a long DC kick. Who knows? Before we start, and we both said this before we came on the air, we do need to address the unfortunate news that's come out in the past week or so. I don't know how many days ago now, because I'm retarded like that. The passing away of Chadwick Boseman. Like,
That's a huge hit for a lot of people. Not only Marvel, but a lot of people.
The more you find out about it, like, I don't really know what...
The more you find out about him...
Well, the more you find out about him, but also, like, the situation and how the two go together, like, I feel bad saying it, like, I want to come up here and say more than, well, he passed away, that sucks, because that sounds terrible. Obviously succumbing
There's
to...
really not an other way to describe it.
I mean, yeah, like, you and I came up... what was it, last year when the wrestling world got the news about Roman Reigns having to step away because he was dealing with his cancer and all that sort of thing. Thankfully, he's back and doing stuff now. Chadwick Boseman obviously succumbing to, I believe it was stage 3, stage 4 colon cancer that he made a point of, like, not telling anybody about.
There are pictures of him going to hospitals for kids that have cancer.
Yeah.
While he's dealing with cancer.
Which is, like, there's a really, like, I don't want to start making, like, oh, isn't this ironic and that ironic, but there's a really sad irony to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, obviously he's wants to go.
It's also kind of, like, heartwarming and beautiful in a way, because he was willing to put aside any of the shit that he was dealing with, just so, like, these kids could meet Black Panther, meet T'Challa.
Well, this is the thing, too, and, I mean, I'm going to go to it once again because it's my source, but when the news came out, Emergency Awesome played a clip of a press conference that they did right before Black Panther came out, and his portion of the press conference was just him talking about these kids that had, like, hung on, and he'd been keeping in touch with them, keeping in touch with their family, and the mom was, like, literally, like, they're hanging on so that they can come see your movie. And I'm like, obviously a lot of different kinds of importance were put on Black Panther, but, like, as an actor, how do you absorb something like that?
It's really hard. It's not at the same level, but it's in the same way that, like, a big popular YouTuber or something like that will get fans that are like, oh, you got me through a really dark time and blah, blah, blah.
I mean, like, on the one hand, it's one story out of a bunch, but, like, we all have our stuff. I mean, like, not so much you right now, because I know you're taking a break from it, but, like, for me, it's wrestling. Like, if you're pissed off, you watch wrestling and cheer yourself up. If you're having a great day, you celebrate by maybe putting on some wrestling to, you know, enhance your good day. Like, but like I say, with the cultural significance of something like Black Panther, along with having that type of story behind it, like, the more things you find out about him and that character and that particular movie, the more layers that movie has. Like, the next time,
the more devastating it is that he's gone.
Well, yeah, obviously.
And I've heard news. Granted, this is way far off, so I hope Disney's not making any decisions right now. But no. I've heard news that they're not going to recast him.
No, they're not.
That they're going to make. Well, one, I think that would be a horrible idea. Two, I think they're making the sister character Shuri Black Panther, which happens in the comics.
It does, and you know what? I'm good with that. Like, because on the one hand, you'd never recast the character, like, obviously out of respect and all that sort of thing. But on the other hand, like, you don't get rid of. I mean, it's hard to, like, if you want to talk about, like, the physics of it, like, it's a movie that's part of 21 other movies, and if that monster is going to move forward, Like, you can't take out that piece, but also for how meaningful it became, the last thing you want to do, or the last thing, I mean, we don't speak for those that have passed on, but you have to assume that, like, he wouldn't have wanted it to stop. Like, let it be what it is, let it become what it needs to become, but, like, keep it going. I don't know. I thought it was weird. Like, on the day, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people that have been watching or listening to this channel for a long time will remember a very brief period of time where I was doing Walking Dead reviews with my buddy Bird. Well, me and my buddy Bird went and saw New Mutants, and when we got out of the movie, his first text from one of his buddies was, "Dude, shit, Black Panther died." And I'm like, first of all,
yeah, I saw it on Facebook. My mom posted something about it.
and, like, everything immediately, like, any link you went to was like, oh my god, what's Marvel gonna do? And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, it's a conversation that needs to be had, but maybe not on the same day. But maybe not on the same goddamn day. Like, Jesus Christ. And then, obviously, like, other people went other ways with it, and, you know, people that deal with things through humor did what they do. And I'm careful about how I criticize that, because I deal with shit with humor a lot of the time, but, like, don't be a dick is the end of that story. But it's fucking terrible. Like, it is what it is. There's a lot of things that were going around when the whole conversation of, like, well, how are we gonna process with this character, or should we even be having that conversation right now? The other one that I heard, and it was kind of sort of a backhanded idea, it's like, well, we saw Killmonger collapse at the end of the last movie, but we never actually saw him die. Could Killmonger be the new Black Panther? And I'm like, you could write a story around that, but you don't want to bring...
I heard something like that, but have him come from, like, a different universe or something, like part of the multiverse.
But here's my thing about that, and this is me just finding symbolism where there probably isn't any. It could be perceived to be in bad taste to bring somebody back to life to replace somebody that just passed away. I like
see that.
I mean, it's nothing against what's his name?
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, because he's great. People said, like, as soon as that movie came out, he's one of the best villains in Marvel, like in the MCU, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. You throw him up there with probably the Vulture and Thanos, and there's probably your three best villains, in my opinion. I just think the possibility of that being taken the wrong way or having the wrong effect is way too heavy. And the Shuri thing, people love Shuri. What's her name? Letitia Wright.
My only concern with that is having her carry a movie. I don't know if I saw enough of her in any of the Black Panther, like, or any movies that they were all in. I mean, I don't know much about the actress. I'm willing to give her a shot, though.
Yeah, I think you could do it. I don't think you could have her, like, obviously, because they're going to make some kind of reference to her brother passing away in the fictional side of things to explain away Chadwick Boseman's character obviously not being there anymore. So if they played it up like she's not, like, this lone warrior all on her own, but, like, her country rallies around her, like, what's her name? I keep wanting to say Michonne, Denai Guerrera's character that basically led the Dora Milaje. If she's, like, the driving force behind a larger force going to deal with an issue, I could see that. If you want to have her solo just out doing something, I think you're right. I think they dwindle on, because if they make her a solo character, they're going to compare her directly to his portrayal, and because he's just passed away and the emotional thing is still in the air, that's never going to work. It's like Will Smith being the genie. Like, but if you make it that, like, in mourning and in support and in community, like, the whole country rallies around her, and you use the rest of that awesome cast that they have, I think that's how you get around that, if that's the way that they go. But I go back to, like, is that the conversation we are even having yet? Because
I don't think it's the conversation we're even having yet. I know that I think they were doing some level of filming with it, but I don't know that it was very in-depth yet.
Well, whatever they were filming would have been around him. So, again, respectfully, I think they're starting back from zero.
I mean, I think they would have to.
Well, whatever they were doing up until the point that he passed away would have been around his movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really kind of a bit shit. Is as what I wanted to say more.
There's no real great way to say it.
There isn't.
It's crap.
It's terrible. I'll miss the character. We'll all miss the character. But there's people out there closer to him that are missing more than a character. So how much do you want to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything else. I think we can.
That's basically all I got.
I do want to stick in a quick note for myself, for anybody that's following me on social media. If you follow my wrestling content, you'll know that my Twitter got fucked with a couple weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago or so. So please go follow at Spaz Phoenix without the one, because that's the account that seems to be working. The other account did come back. I'm going to get rid of one of them eventually. For right now, follow me at Spaz Phoenix or at Spaz Phoenix 1. One of them is going to be deactivated eventually. I just have to move follows and shit like that over. So thanks for that. Find me on Instagram in the same place, at Spaz Phoenix. Follow the Spaz Phoenix podcast Facebook group on Facebook, and we'll get all of Kristen's socials at the end like we usually do when I do my weird-ass, long, prolonged, awkward ending, but we're not there yet. We're finally here to talk about DC stuff. We're here to talk about the DC FANDOME and all the DC wonderfulness going forward. DC FANDOME was a few weeks ago now. But, basically, I'm not going to talk about, like, all the different panels and all the different interviews and all the different whatever. We're basically looking at
Because there was a lot.
Because there was a lot, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch them. I waited for Emergency Awesome to drop the trailers that came from the FANDOME. And I said I was going to lean on you for the first one because I don't have any background knowledge whatsoever. Do we want to touch on Shazam and Black Adam? Because
I think there's a little bit of discussion there.
I'm
interested to see because The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson, I guess as he prefers to be called nowadays, is playing Black Adam in both of them. And, I mean, Black Adam most of the time in the comics is a villain, so I'd be interested to see what his solo movie is going to be. I mean, clearly in the Shazam sequel, he's probably going to be the villain, but
yeah,
what is the solo movie going to even be about?
I mean, it's going to be the trailer, and we went through a couple of the trailers right before we hopped on, because somebody didn't do their homework. I'm going to stop being a dick, I promise. But, like, the Black Adam trailer isn't really a trailer. It's The Rock hanging out
talking about it.
Now, to be fair, The Rock has apparently been trying to get a Black Adam movie up off the ground since way before we got the Shazam movie. So him talking about, oh my god, it's been so long, we've finally gotten here, is him talking in character, but it's him also just talking. So apparently the character means something to him. He just looks like...
He does look exactly like him.
Well, yeah, this is the thing I was going to say, like, from the all the concept art and all that sort of thing, it basically looks like he's, there's no good way to say this, a black Shazam. So, obviously, he's going to tie into the Shazam. I haven't seen the first Shazam movie, still. I know you said I should, but...
It's pretty good. It leans more Marvel goofy quips than DC dark and gritty.
Okay. So,
I thought it was fun.
So would it be comparable, in its context, would it be comparable to Ant-Man in the Marvel Universe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's why I didn't bother with it, because I don't like Ant-Man. Apparently, we're gonna be introduced to the first iteration of the Justice Society, which is Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, and the Atom Smasher.
That'll be fun.
I don't know anything about any of these characters, so again, I'm going to throw it over to you if you do.
Well, I mean, in the original, like, Justice Society, I think there were more than that. There was an original Green Lantern in the Justice Society of America. So it's fun. It's interesting to see who is staying and who isn't. Who they've decided to keep. Because there's, like, a Flash. There's the original Flash, the one with, like, the metal, like war helmet with, like, the wings on it and shit.
Nice.
Who else is in the Justice Society? Yeah, there's a Green Lantern that wears, like, mostly red with a lantern symbol and a cape. So it's interesting to see who they're going to be. It's basically the original Justice League kind of thing. Is the Justice Society of America.
Well, I kind of figured, and in his monologue, he does talk about, like, you know, being a powerful guy, and he did all the right things, and then because his methods were unconventional, he was locked away for 5,000 years, and now he's breaking out again. So it's another one of those, what's the trope in movies where it's like, oh, I've been locked away for so long, but you couldn't lock me away forever. But I don't know how
the good guy who does things in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
It almost sounds like he's like a superhero version of the Punisher. Like, does what needs to be done, but in a way that everybody's going to say is kind of shitty. But again, before people freak out in the comments or in the chat, like, I'm saying this from the perspective of somebody who's never seen any iteration of this character before. At the end of the promo, it's kind of weird because, like we say, we're sort of drifting. The monologue sort of drifted just from, like, The Rock talking about the movie to him kind of talking in character, and he kind of calls out the Justice League at the end, which leads me to believe that either he's going to be in a Justice League movie, or he's going to be fighting the Justice League, or try to get into the Justice League. I don't really know. If we get him knocking out Henry Cavill, I'm down for that, because fuck Superman. But other than that, I don't know. I should watch the Shazam movie. I probably should. But I don't know. It's not like Marvel, where it's like I have to watch this even if I don't like it, because it's going to matter next time and next time and next time. Like, the DCEU has not shown itself to stay in one piece, so I don't...
No, they kind of... Some of them decide to do their own thing, and some of them don't.
Yeah, but I mean...
Sorry, I'm kind of skimming history of Black Adam and stuff. Apparently, him and his teammate, Atom Smasher, defected from the Justice Society at one point. So apparently he was in the Justice Society at one point.
I wonder if it's like he was in the, like, quote-unquote original Justice League, and then his actions get him kicked out, and then he gets locked away for 5,000 years.
Well, I know his powers are older than Shazam because, Shazam's powers are modeled after all of the Roman gods. He has the except for Solomon, for some reason. He has the wisdom of Solomon, strength of Hercules. I'm trying to remember all of them. I'm not going to butcher it. I'm just going to go ahead and... It's the wisdom of Solomon, strength of Hercules, courage of Achilles, power of Zeus. What is Atlas's deal? Anyways, they're based on the Roman pantheon, and Black Adam's is much older, and he is much older because his is based off of the Egyptian pantheon.
Okay. So we could potentially play up the theme of, like, headbutting of what's the word I'm looking for? Ideologies.
Yeah.
That could be interesting. That could be
his original character was, like, born, like, in ancient times kind of thing. So he's, like, lived through the centuries kind of thing.
He's another one of those characters that can say he was kind of a spectator when, like, the walls came down or when the plagues came, and he's one of those ones that can brush it off. You're like, yeah, I was there for that. It was a bit shit.
Yeah, basically.
I don't know. I'm kind of blank on it. I wish I was more excited. The Rock is in there. The Rock is another one we should mention in the shitty times that are 2020. Somebody else we're going to talk about later is Robert Pattinson. Apparently they had to close down taping of Batman because Robert Pattinson has COVID. Apparently, even...
It's going to be a weird time for movies because movies are going to get randomly pushed back because of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's going to be, I wouldn't say impossible, but very difficult with how many people have to be on set doing things.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. And as soon as, like, I mean, yeah, sure, a camera guy could get COVID, and then, you know, whoever was around the camera guy has to quarantine as well. But, like, Robert Pattinson's the star. They literally can't do anything without him. There may be one or two scenes that they could maybe do, but that depends on if he's been around the people that those one or two scenes that he's not in weren't also around him.
I mean, and we're looking at it from the perspective of, like, oh, it's going to push the movies back, oh, it's going to halt production, oh, this and that. Like, these people are, like, seriously fucking sick, and it's terrible. Anybody listening, we're not unaware of that. It's just, we're here to talk about movies, so we're looking at it from the movie point of view. And if you're offended by that, I'm sorry, but I can only dwell on, like, how literally terrible. That's why we got off the Black Panther thing pretty quick. I can only dwell on how horrible that is for so long before I want to turn the mic off and call it a day.
So you want to blow your own brains out?
Well, I don't.
How shitty everything is.
Well, I don't want to blow my own brains out, but I do want to finish the video or the podcast, depending on how you're listening. So to anybody that is offended that we're looking at it from strictly the movie perspective, it's for our own mental health. Let's just say that. But yeah, Robert Pattinson, who we'll talk about much later on, apparently tested positive for COVID. The Rock, on the other hand, and again, this goes back to me more being in my wrestling bubble. Apparently, his whole family has it.
Yes.
Which is
his wife and
fucking,
his daughter.
Which is fucking terrifying when you do follow wrestling and you know how close that family is and you know how close they are with the older members of their legendary dynasty, whatever you want to call it. It's bad times. It's really bad times. So to see something with The Rock's name on it, hopefully coming out soon, is a little bit of light in the darkness, but it's not unterrible.
I'll go ahead and stand on a soapbox for this.
Go for it.
So everybody in the audience, go ahead and start staying 6 feet away from people and put a fucking mask on, so that we can get over this shit. And then when I go to the gym, I don't have to wear a goddamn mask to work out.
Fair enough.
That was just a soapbox that I'm recently on. That is not why you should wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart. You should wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart so that nobody gets sick.
There we go.
Sorry, it makes me upset when people are like...
No, say your... Okay, how many tangents do I go on, and you're going on one that's actually important? You don't have to apologize for fuck all. I will say, not to rub salt in the wounds, I did get out to the theater for the first time in like 6 months. Like 2 weekends ago, I did go see New Mutants. We will talk about New Mutants eventually. It's really good.
I keep meaning I haven't gone to the theater to go see it yet.
I mean, I will say this, it's no spoiler for what we're going to say about it later on. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it is a good time. It is a really good time. A lot of what you and I talked about in the last podcast, what we were expecting from the cast that they had to work with and where those cast members had come from, what I was expecting, some of it wasn't as I was expecting it, but I wasn't let down by the cast. The story was smaller and singular, which was really nice after all the big bombastic like Endgame type stuff. It was really good, and it's not so horror movie that somebody not into horror movies can't enjoy it a whole lot. And the Demon Bear was cool. I'm not gonna lie.
And the Demon Bear was cool.
And the Demon Bear was fucking cool. And the two main actresses that I was looking forward to seeing, Anya Taylor-Joy and Maisie Williams, are pretty awesome in their roles as well. We will talk about that when you've seen it, and we'll have a decent. Well, it'll be our first actual review in a while.
Yep.
So we've basically done what we can with Shazam and Black Adam. Let's talk about The Flash. And I'm going to start this off by, like, all the conversation around the Flash is talking about everybody but the Flash, which I feel like is really unfortunate. Because basically they're using the Flash...
Sorry.
That's fine. We're using the Flash to bring in the idea of multiverses, obviously with other casting announcements that we're going to talk about in a second. They're basically using Flash as the catch-all for any and all movies that didn't sort of match up with the current DCEU. It's like, well, they're all valid. They're all just as canon.
They're all in another universe. They're all in another timeline or whatever.
Well,
that's what the Flash has always been. They're always like, DC's always like, fuck, we need to restart the universe. We've done a bunch of shit. Fucking Flash goes back in time, save his mom, fucks up the whole thing.
Well, this is the thing, right? And I gotta say, the only knowledge I have of the Flashpoint Paradox story is I've seen the animated movie of it, which I thought was really cool, and they were very quick to come out and say, we're taking bits from Flashpoint, but we're not really doing the Flashpoint story. Because for those of you that don't know, and this was me up until about a year ago, the Flashpoint story takes us to an alternate universe where it was Bruce Wayne that was shot, his dad becomes Batman, his mom
becomes the Joker.
Now,
by the way, if you haven't seen it, go see the Flashpoint animated movie. It's really good.
Yeah. Well, that's literally, like, I've never read the comic. Obviously, like, we don't need to do to death that I don't read the comics, but I have the Flashpoint movie.
In fact, go see all of the what is it? The DC Dark Universe animated movies. They're mostly centered around John Constantine. Those are all really good.
Yeah.
And then
they are.
John Constantine also had an animated series that kind of didn't turn into a series that they kind of put all the what would have been episodes together to make a movie.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's very freaky. Okay, I'll warn you ahead of time. I think I've talked about this on the show before.
Yep.
Where he you full on see him from the waist up banging someone, and you're like, oh shit, this is a cartoon. And that is what is happening.
Okay, but that doesn't not happen in cartoons for anybody that's seen the Killing Joke.
Happen, but I feel like it was as graphic as it could be without being like hentai, basically.
I mean, what Joker does to Barbara Gordon in...
I haven't seen the Killing Joke one.
You should okay, for an animated movie, it's damn good. Should we start it? Should we just start reviewing the animated movies?
Is this the one where Barbara Gordon bangs Bruce Wayne at one point?
Yeah, and there's a gargoyle watching.
Yeah, and there's a gargoyle watching. Yeah, that kind of bothered me, but okay.
You should watch it. It's good. CinemaSins has a line. It's like, how did that work? They're both still in their bat suits. Wouldn't it kind of be like groping a radial tire? Okay, terrible.
Great. My boyfriend loves when I turn on DC movies, and it's like, oh, we're watching somebody bang. Okay.
Anyways, my reason for bringing up Flashpoint is at one point there was rumors floating out there in the universe that I really liked, that this was going to be more directly linked to the DCEU, and they were going to take the Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne from Batman vs. Superman, which, for me as a Walking Dead fan, was Lauren Cohen and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan as pissed off Batman with a gun would have been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays a good asshole. I want to see Negan in a bat suit. It'll be fine. It's not quite what we're getting. What we are getting is a lot of Batmans, for sure. Most people have heard the Michael Keaton is coming back to play Batman again.
From the one still shot I've seen where Michael Keaton is in the bat suit, I kind of already there was an idea that I wanted for Michael Keaton that I felt like would have been better instead of like, he's an old man and he's still Batman. I think he would have been better as old man Bruce Wayne mentoring Terry McGinnis, a la Batman Beyond. But I'm willing to see what it is that they do. I try not to have too many ideas about a movie before I watch the movie, because then my expectations are one way and the movie may not go that way.
Didn't you refer to that as Star Wars syndrome?
It is Star Wars syndrome.
Although I will say you did sound like Nick Fury there for a second. There was an idea.
There was an idea. And I try not to put too much expectations on what I think should happen. I try and watch the movie to see what they did. And then if I'm like, well, I feel like it would have been better if they had done this. I try not to criticize a movie before I've even seen it. I say try.
Yeah.
Doesn't always succeed.
Yeah. Then we get movies like Alien 3, which is exactly like The Shawshank Redemption. Anyways.
It is. You heard it from Spaz. Quote from Spaz. They're basically the same movie.
Anyways, I gotta lean on you once again. You've seen the Flash TV show, correct?
Yes.
Correct me if I'm not, there is a moment in the Flash TV show where the TV Flash and the movie Flash are working together, right?
In the Infinite Crisis series, there's one scene where they have a movie Flash show up. It's only for like a minute, and they kind of look at each other like, "Oh, holy shit!"
So you know what this needs?
They admire each other's suits and all of that stuff.
So do you know what this needs? You know what I want in this movie that's not going to happen? Remember when we talked about Endgame and Infinity War, and I was like, I need to see Star-Lord and Iron Man and Doctor Strange have an argument with each other because they're the three biggest pricks in the company, right? Or in the continuum, right? Here's what I want for this movie that's not going to happen. Because we're using the Flash and the multiverse and all that sort of thing to say that every other individual DC movie is canon just from another universe, I want to see in this movie at some point, I know I'm not going to get it, that's fine. I want to see Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Ben Affleck, and Robert Pattinson
all the Batman,
all face to face and doing like a 5-way version of like, the Spider-Man meme where it's the two Spider-Mans pointing at you.
Yeah.
I want to see like a 5-way, all of them looking at each other and then being like, fuck it, and like all piecing out at the same time. I want to see that. It's not going to happen, but
that's a lot of salaries. And let's be honest, what was the last thing Val Kilmer was in?
I mean, before Spider-Man, what was the last thing Michael Keaton was in?
Yeah, but Michael Keaton is Michael Keaton.
I mean, Val Kilmer might be in the new Maverick movie that's coming out. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
You've seen Top Gun, the original, right?
Yes, I've seen Top Gun.
Are you excited about the sequel?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, I was indoctrinated with Top Gun as I grew up because my dad loved the movie and we all loved the movie, and that was the movie we used to check out our sound system every time we got a new sound system. Anyways, other than multiple Batmans, the other thing that came out of this trailer that wasn't really a trailer, it was just people talking about, like, hey, this is what the Flash opens up. And it's like, as they're talking about, well, DC sort of has properties and characters all over the place, and they started flashing everything from everywhere. You saw, like, really old Batgirl and, like, original, like, Superman, and they even showed, like, Adam West Batman. I'm not sure why, because he's dead. That's sad. The two things out of there that really caught my attention were the characters from The Watchmen, both the movie and the show, and Keanu Reeves' Constantine. As we were talking about a second ago. If we get a cameo from Keanu Reeves, that wouldn't hurt my feelings.
It wouldn't hurt. He's not my favorite Constantine, but it wasn't bad.
I just watched it, like, after the last big conversation we had about Constantine.
That Constantine movie lived in an era where comic book movies were almost always not great.
I'm not going to lie.
Or not seen as not great.
I'm not going to lie, when I first saw the Constantine movie, I didn't know that it was from a comic. So, I mean, but there's people out there.
My only we're going off topic at this point. My only problem with Keanu Reeves' Constantine is when I look at Keanu Reeves, I don't think Constantine, just like I don't think Robert Pattinson when I think Bruce Wayne.
We'll get there. You'll have another soapbox when we get there. I promise.
Okay.
They are going a little MCU with Flash's suit. I've seen concept art for Flash's suit. It's meant to be a lot more streamlined. It's meant to look a lot less robotic than it did in, I was about to say Suicide Squad, Justice League. It looks really cool, and apparently it's a gift from Bruce Wayne. So
Nice.
make all these... Make all
I
the
didn't
Spider-Man
think the
Tony
Flash-
Stark, make all the
Yeah.
Spider-Man Tony Stark jokes you want. If it's got a talking like voice inside, then we can really make the jokes. If they're gonna set up that sort of mentorship, that's cool. I mean, I can't think of the guy's name now. Ezra Miller, I think, that plays the Flash.
Yeah.
I really like him. I think like the kind of nervous. We did this when we were fantasy casting him as Quicksilver. Like he's got that nervous energy that you would think would go with somebody whose thing is speed. I don't really know how to explain why I think that works, but it does. The mentorship thing, is he going to be mentored by like Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne? Is it going to be Ben Affleck doing a cameo? Because apparently he's signed on to just do cameos for the next little while. He was going to be gone, and then he came back, and apparently it's a big contract mess, but if he comes back, it's only going to be in cameos. So is he going to be the guy that, like, basically like Tony Stark did, like, hey, here's your suit, I'm going to fuck off now? Like, it's very interesting, but I just think all the Flash conversation is not about Flash. And if you're Ezra Miller, I guess you kind of sign on for that, but at the same time, it's kind of super unfortunate.
Well, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but we'll see how it goes. But it does kind of seem like it's being pushed in that direction. Like, look at all the Batmans in this Flash movie.
Yeah, but it's not like, hey, here's Flash, we're going to give Flash a movie. It's like, well, no, Flash can do this, therefore we can get more Batmans. It's like, or Batmen.
Batmen, yes.
I will say, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to it once again, the Batman animated movies, if you've ever seen Batman Bad Blood, where they show the whole Bat family.
Yeah.
And it's basically just like Batman has his own version of the Avengers. He's got like the Cyborg Batman and Batgirl and Batwoman and like Damian Wayne Robin and Nightwing and some other Robin. Like, fuck the rest of the Justice League, I've got my own. I want to see that as a movie. I think that would, if they manage to pull Batman far enough away from the rest of the Justice League, I think that could be cool on its own. I don't know if it would work.
They tried to do that with George Clooney's Batman, but well, I mean, not all the way. They didn't go all the way, but there was a Robin and a Batgirl.
But yeah,
those were the ones with bat nipples.
You know what else there was?
What?
George Clooney.
There was George Clooney. That was also the same movies with the Bat credit card.
With the actual like in movie noise. Cha-ching!
Yep. Cha-ching. Never leave the cave without it.
We don't talk about the Schumacher
Batmans.
Batmans.
Also bat ice skates that just come out of their shoes.
We don't talk about the Schumacher Batmans.
And bat butts.
We don't talk about the Schumacher Batmans.
That's probably those movies are probably the most sexualized that Batman's ever been, really. They talk about over-sexualizing women in movies. That is the male equivalent of it, of them getting in their suits.
Oh, where what's her name?
Where it zooms in on, like, bat nipples and zooms in on, like, bat butt.
Not even that. The, what's her name? The Chase Meridian character that's, like, trying to hit on Batman, and he's, like, she makes the clear reference to Catwoman. She's like, do I need skin-tight vinyl and a whip? And then she just grabs, and she plays the pervy dude, because she grabs his chest and goes, ah. I'm like, that's weird. It's really
That was a weird way to say that. Nope, I would still say Batman is more sexualized in these than in that one.
No, but that is one of the Schumacher Batmans.
Like he's a piece of meat.
Yeah. Go to the Burton Batmans. Hey, spoiler alert, we're doing the Joker trilogy. The first movie we're reviewing in the Joker trilogy is the original 1989 Tim Burton Batman.
When we actually get to that.
When we get to that, when somebody does their homework. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to be a dick again, wasn't I? I mean, you were only, like, moving.
I never assumed you weren't going to stop.
It's almost like you've been working with me for a while.
You say, I'll stop being a dick. I don't ever believe you.
Not that much of a dick. Come on now. I mean, seriously, like, you were only moving. Come on now. Anyway.
I can't even say that I'm like, oh, I'm working so much. I'm unemployed right now. Like, I literally have all the time.
No, you're not. You're animal sitting. That's hard work.
That's true. I am animal sitting, but still, I have, like, all the time.
High five for animal sitting. And high five for the next movie that we're going to talk about, because this is the sequel to probably one of the best things that DC has done in a long time. I was knocked on my ass, I have no problem admitting this, by how good Wonder Woman was.
Oh yeah, the first Wonder Woman's fucking amazing. It's one of the only DC movies I actually own.
Is it really? What, you just download everything else?
No, I just, I don't want to see that again.
Well, fair enough. See, this, like, Wonder Woman was, I mean, Captain Marvel wasn't that great anyway. Let's be real. I like Brie Larson. Brie Larson's good. The movie itself is shit.
Captain Marvel was fine. It would have been good had it not been like, oh, this like came after the fact that Wonder Woman was such a smash hit, because it was always going to be compared to Wonder Woman because it's the first Marvel female lead movie.
It's not even that it was a hit, though. It's not even that, like, oh my god, it was this big event, whatever. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but we said the same thing about Black Panther. Like, there's all this importance on it. There's all this first female-led whatever. It's just the fact that it was a good, solid fucking movie all the way through, and Gal Gadot's a rock star. When you hear that she did all her stunts while she was pregnant with a green screen over her belly.
I did not hear about that.
It sounds weird, and I'm not trying to say this in a weird way, but if you look it up, Gal Gadot stunts or whatever, just in, like, Google Images, you'll see her in, like, all the Amazon gear and whatever, and they've just sort of green screened, like, her midsection.
Good for her.
And I mean, like, obviously, I'm gonna guess that there was, like, umpteen amounts of, like, safety and checks and balances in place for her to do that, but even still, like, goddamn. Because she's awesome.
Wonder Woman was fantastic. Which gives me, like, pause for the second Wonder Woman movie.
In what way?
It's because it's a sequel that's having to live up to the first one. So I'm just cautious about it.
Oh, like it won't live up. Like, you're not saying, okay, it's a sequel, therefore they're obviously going to shit on it.
No, I don't think they're going to... I hope they're not going to shit on it. That's the worst case scenario.
It's going to be weird because I would
like to see how they bring Chris Pine back. What they use to bring Chris Pine back.
Well, they use the Dreamstone. That's in, like, all the trailers.
Is that it? Is that what they're doing?
Well, the whole.
Are we just fucking? It's not an Infinity Stoning.
No.
Chris Pine.
No, but it's the whole theme of it all is, like, they've pushed it up to the 80s, which is going to be weird because there's going to be a huge time gap, which is fine. You can hopscotch through history.
And also, Gal Gadot will be the only one not rocking big 80s hair.
Oh, dear.
You know that's true. You know they're not going to do that. Even though if she were going to try and blend in with everybody, she'd be like, well, now it's big hair.
I can promise you that I never had big 80s hair.
No, guys didn't have big 80s hair. Women had big 80s hair.
My dad had big 80s hair, I'm just going to say.
Did your dad have big 80s hair?
He did. It's funny.
I think of men having the slicked back greaser hair or the mullet.
Like from Grease?
Yes.
Oh, I heard a really weird theory about Grease. We can talk about that another time. It's fine. But no, with it being in the 80s, like what they refer to the 80s as like the era of excess. Like everybody's trying to have it all. Everybody's trying to have the quick fix. Everybody's going to try and make their quick money and all that sort of thing. So you got the main villain whose name is, I can't remember, Maxwell Lord, who's a salesman of some sort, and he gets his hands on this thing called the Dreamstone. I don't know from where. I don't have that many details. but it's basically, it grants your wishes, but it's sort of like the old fairy tales of the monkey's paw. Like, you'll get what you want, but it'll cost you something.
Okay.
So people are getting rich, but they're losing their health. People are having love in their life and whatever, but other people that they love are like disappearing or whatever. What's her name? Wonder Woman's actual name. Diana
Diana Prince.
wants Steve back, and I think the way it's portrayed in the trailer, like, she gets Steve back, but in return she starts losing her power. Her power goes to the stone, and then when this other chick that she works with, who's Barbara Minerva, I know I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I still feel like I'm not, because she wants...
No, you're right.
Because she wants power and she wants to, get ahead in life, and she's all shy and reserved, and like she looks up to not only her coworker Diana, but also looks up to people like Wonder Woman, and she's like, if I could only be powerful like them, and she says she wants to be a predator, but partially they use the crystal, because the crystal now has the Wonder Woman power. The Wonder Woman power transfers to this Minerva person, but as soon as she uses the verbiage of saying like a predator, an apex predator, and I didn't even make a Randy Orton joke there, so we're good, is when she starts turning into Cheetah. Like, it takes her wish like super literally. It's the worst case scenario of, hey, here's what I wish for, but oh fuck, I didn't know it was going to turn into that. Everybody trying to... the big moral message of, like, everybody trying to have everything is going to bite you in the ass in the end. Steve does come back, but he's a dork, and he doesn't understand parachute pants, and he thinks...
Well, he's a dork because he was alive in, like, what, the 40s?
No, but look...
And now he's in the 80s, so he's like, I don't understand anything that's happening.
No, he's got misunderstandings, but he's also played off like a dork. Like, I don't think...
Well, he was played off like a dork in the other movie, too.
Yeah, but he was given some gravitas as well. Like, the reason that it made Diana look so good was that, like, he was like a man's man in, like, all of his things in life, in the forces that he was in, when he was hanging out with his buddies at the bar, like, he was one of the guys, and then he saw her, and he's like, well, shit, I guess I'm following her now. Like there was a...
I would like to see what the, like, the gold suit that she ends up wearing, what that's all about with the wings.
Apparently, when she loses her own power, and this is from some comic in some, like, early Wonder Woman comic, she does lose her powers, and what ends up happening is she goes to, I don't want to say, like, a goldsmith, but, like, somebody in Themyscira who makes the armor for them and all that sort of thing, and apparently to compensate for her not being as powerful as she needs to be, this is armor that's constructed from the broken armor of all her ancestors that came before her and all that kind of thing. So, sort of like a Rey thing, like, all the Jedi live in you now, so, like, hey, here, have some armor. I'm gonna have
to look this up. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep going.
I lost my place. What I was going to say... The gold armor with the wings does look pretty kick-ass. Depending on how much they make Steve look like a dork, that could get a bit old. I'm pretty sure, like, she's going to have to give him up again to, like, send everything back. Because if it's a case of, like, I took this from you so I could give it to the next person, so I could take this from them to give it to the next person, like, if it's a chain reaction type thing... I predict, and this is not in the trailer, this is not anything I've seen, this is just something that makes sense to me, she's going to have to give up Steve so that she can take her power back, so that she'll take the power away from Cheetah so that she can go back to being normal again. I predict towards the end there's going to be some sort of chain reaction thing like that. I do want to say, with the Cheetah effects, and we see a little bit of the Cheetah effects in the trailer, I was terrified because the last time we saw cat effects was in the movie.
You're like, oh god, it's gonna be cat.
It's gonna be
Taylor Swift on a cat body all over again.
Which I actually watched Cats.
I did not.
I got it for a family member who I thought would really like it, and we watched it, and yeah,
it looks horrifying.
That's the thing though, like, it's not that's bad. It's like that's actually somewhat terrifying. And the thing is, again, like, we say it about the Marvel movies a lot, but, like, look at the Cats cast. look at the stack of talent that they had in that movie, and they turned them all into really, really, like, haunted creatures. Although some of the music was
Maybe
kind
they
of
should have
snappy.
made it into a horror movie.
Was it not?
I mean, they should have actually made it into a horror, not on accident.
Oh. It's like one of those lists you see, like, top 10 movies that are terrifying that weren't even meant to be or some shit.
Yeah.
Then you see people that are, like, really, really scared of all, like, Sid's toys in Toy Story. But yeah, no, completely different setting, completely different, time that they're in. I'm assuming completely different set of characters, like, she's not gonna have the other, what was her name? The chick that, like, took her shopping in the first one and tried to teach her how to dress like a lady, and she was, a really funny side character.
Assistant.
Yeah. Like, she is...
They're not gonna have, yeah.
She's one of the highlights of that movie. Obviously, she's not going to be in this because it's up to the 80s now. But you're going to have Steve in there for a little bit, and she's going to have to kill him. That's going to be kind of fun. I mean, Gal Gadot is, like, the whole thing about her acting while she was pregnant aside, like, she's just amazing in the role, and she doesn't look like she's trying, which means that she just kind of sits in the role, which is always good. There's the point where in the trailer where she, like, swings off of a bolt of lightning. I'm curious as to the explanation for that. But it looks really good, and just from how the first one was, I have a lot of hope for this one. And that's all I got for Wonder Woman, unless you were looking up something.
I hope it's going to be great. I'm reserved about it because I'm scared.
You're scared.
I'm scared.
All right, so we don't want you to be scared. So let's move on to something else. Let's move on to Justice League: The Snyder Cut.
I mean, it looks like a completely different movie. I will tell you, I was one of those people that's like, whenever people were talking about, oh, the Snyder Cut would have been because I thought Justice League was fine.
Yeah.
Especially coming off of my deep hatred for Batman v Superman.
Totally unfounded.
No, not unfounded. It is one of the only movies in my life that I literally was like, I hated that. The other one is not the MCU Hulk, but the one before it. You know, the Incredible Hulk movie that had very little Hulk in it.
Kristen, you know what you're doing right now?
What?
You're letting them kill Martha.
I am letting them kill Martha. God, that movie was awful. I'm sorry. It was one of the few movies I sat there, and then a friend turned and was like, so what'd you think? And I'm like, I fucking hated that. That was really bad. And so, Justice League was fine to me.
So it didn't pull out searing hatred from your soul, so it must have done something right.
So it was fine.
You know what it is for me, and
just seeing the Snyder Cut trailer, I mean, it does look like a completely different movie, so we'll see.
In defense of Batman v Superman, as somebody who went into Captain America Civil War, and there I even said it correctly, and I was really, really happy to see Captain America get punched in the face. I went to Batman v Superman, and I was really happy to see Superman get legitimately punched in the face. It was good. And
why did you say that name?
I don't know, man. I like Ben Affleck Batman. I like him in Justice League. I like him in Batman v Superman. I want to see more Ben Affleck. We're going to get into Robert Pattinson later on, obviously. But
I should reiterate, I know we probably said this, but I don't like it. There was nothing about the actors themselves, with the exception of the guy that played totally not Lex Luthor, totally decided he was going to play the goddamn Joker. It was like, he's like, well, I want to be the Joker. And they're like, Joker's not in this movie. You're going to be Lex Luthor, okay? He goes, okay, well, what if I played Lex Luthor like the Joker?
You're talking about Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes. Fuck Jesse Eisenberg.
You want to know the funniest thing?
Not Lex Luthor.
You want to know the funniest thing in the world, though? He didn't audition or this is what I've heard. Please take it with a grain of salt. This is only what I've heard.
He didn't audition for Lex Luthor. He auditioned for the fucking Joker.
No, he auditioned to be like, right at the beginning when she's out in the desert doing the interview and whatever, she auditioned to be like that guy that follows her around with like her camera shit.
Oh,
Like Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen.
He came in to interview or to
They're like, you know what this comes off as? Lex Luthor.
It's good. It's real
Fucking
good.
Stupid. Gal Gadot's good in it. I didn't like Ben Affleck. Batman wasn't even bad in it, and I thought that what's his face that plays Superman?
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Henry Cavill. I thought he was good in it too.
They didn't even have to CGI off his mustache.
Exactly. I thought that the actors were great. I thought the script and the entire story was fucking stupid.
I will say, I wasn't Jeremy Irons as Alfred was
Superman
a good call
because
too.
he kills people. I'm gonna go and kill people to get to this thing to kill Superman.
Tell us how you really feel.
That's how I really feel. It's fucking.
I do like Ben Affleck making basically the Superman Buster suit.
He did. He made the Superman Buster suit.
I like it. It's good. All the kryptonite weapons. It's good. I will say, you mentioned Gal Gadot. It is really jarring how much
She's just like, hi, I'm here.
No, there's like 3 specific moments where she like the movie reminds you that she exists, and she drops in to do like her little plot point at that point in the movie, and leaves again. And the stupidest thing in the world is when she's bantering back and forth with Bruce Wayne, and again, I'm stealing this from CinemaSins. I don't care because it's a good point. And she thinks she's being all like coy and whatever with him, and she's like, "Is it really stealing if you steal from a thief?" Yes. Yes, it is.
It's still stealing.
Yes, it is. But yeah, so that was
Snyder cut of Justice League.
That was our brief review of Batman v Superman, guys. I bet you didn't expect that. Now we're going to talk about Justice League.
Fucking awful.
Basically, I have a list of everything that's going to be in this that wasn't in the last movie. We're going to have Darkseid. Darkseid was completely written out of the Justice League because originally, and this is why
they had him show up at the very end like a Thanos.
Yeah, no, but originally. This movie was supposed to be 3 movies.
Whedon basically did Avengers, but Justice League.
Yeah.
That's what this movie was. And maybe that's why I was like, it's fine.
Well, apparently initially this was supposed to be, like, there was supposed to be 3 Justice League movies. Instead of just one. Like, it was supposed to be a series of 3. So what they did was they compacted it into one story.
Like Avengers?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like Avengers Civil War. But yeah, apparently...
You've already said, I even said it right this time. You've already acknowledged that you know the correct way to say it. So now you're just doing it to egg me, and I'm not falling for the bait anymore.
See, the thing about this being an audio platform is
audio evidence.
Thing is, with this being an audio platform, though, you didn't see the tight air quotes there.
I can just edit that shit out. You're not going to, though, because you're too fucking lazy.
It's true. So you know what I did do that nobody saw because it's an audio platform? I just put like the little air quotes up in the air while I said the right way.
Yeah, but nobody can see that, so it doesn't matter.
It's
you can't
fine.
be like, well, I was air quoting.
Anyways, so we're going to have Darkseid, which is cool. The entire... when they do the flashback scene of like the original war for the mother boxes, when Wonder Woman is explaining to to Batman like how they all came about and how they were all taken apart and whatever, and you just see Steppenwolf and he's in the war and Roddy it's the first war he ever lost. Apparently that was supposed to actually be Darkseid, and Darkseid later sent Steppenwolf, and there was supposed to be a larger Darkseid story. So we're gonna have Darkseid, so that's pretty cool.
That'd be cool.
Green Lantern is going to be in there as more than just a cameo in that flashback, which is cool. Everybody's joking that because Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool and can break the fourth wall, he's going to break the fourth wall into the DC universe. I don't think that's true at all.
Clearly not.
Apparently there's going to be a lot more Flash and a lot more Cyborg, and the quote from Zack Snyder is, if you had gotten as much Cyborg as I had intended in the movie, you would have seen that I intended Cyborg to be the heart of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
like the moral center of the movie or whatever. Also,
Okay.
and they give it away in the trailer, which is kind of a bummer, but like his dad gets zapped by the mother box.
Yeah.
I don't know why they gave that away in the trailer, because that's probably going to be a pretty cool spot, but it is what it is. Steppenwolf looks completely different in this. He looks sharper and more metallic. I don't know how else to explain it. Whereas in the original cut, he kind of looks like something that could have come out of the Jim Henson warehouse.
He looks like one of the Orokai or one of the orcs from Lord of the Rings.
That's a good shout.
Like stretched a little.
That's a good shout. I mean, they make him look badass in action in the movie, but like
When he's standing still, it's like, oh, that's jarring to look at.
He's a blue dude with horns. And I mean, I won't say, like, anything that we're saying right now didn't take away from our experience watching it on the night when this was a new thing. Like, we're picking this apart now by comparison only. So, like, we have to be fair about it, and I want to make that clear to everybody listening as well. But, like, this stuff does look really bad. We're getting Black Suit Superman, which is apparently a huge thing in the comics. I don't know.
Ooh.
Apparently it's a reference to the Death of Superman. I've got the Death of Superman, Rise of the Supermen movies, and they don't reference the black suit ever, so I don't really understand. But it's how I come into most things. It's like I don't read the comics. People listening, people in the chat on the side, if you're watching this on Premiere, please fill me in. Let me know so that I don't walk into this movie like a total idiot. And apparently we are going to get everything that led up to the what is it? In Batman v Superman, when he has the premonition of like the Flash coming in to talk to him, like we're gonna get whatever led up to that. So that's a story.
Yeah, because that was just kind of out of nowhere. That was just like a scene that's like, this is for future movie.
This is the post-credit scene, except it's happening now.
Except we're doing it in the middle of the movie for some reason.
It's like the weird thing in like Thor 2 when he has to go like sit in the cave pool and like talk to the gods in the wall that like apparently nobody wanted to
put.
put.
That's not even Thor 2. That's fucking Age of Ultron.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's in Age of Ultron that random shit happens. It's like, oh yeah, where he has like weird flash forwards of like all the Infinity Stones and shit and all of that, but they're like, we're not going to address that.
And they never did. Like, it's just, he basically went and prayed to the gods in a pool in a cave somewhere, and they gave him like a PowerPoint presentation on Infinity Stones.
And then they were, also he could be like, that's the Mind Stone.
Yeah. It's almost mind-boggling. Okay, that wasn't funny. It's fine. Snyder Cut's going to be great. It's kind of weird the way they're putting it out on HBO Max in 4 chunks. Apparently they're releasing it in 4 chunks, and then, like, the following year they're going to release it as a movie. Don't know if I like that.
Alright.
Don't know if I like
Whatever.
that. I mean, there is a whole conversation to be...
Then I'm going to wait until the whole movie comes out.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. But there is a whole conversation to be had about the fact that this is even happening. It is kind of... I don't want to get into a big philosophical conversation about it, but it is a sign of the social media age that we're in that this movie is even happening. That, like, we got a version of a movie... And enough people.
And everybody was like, boo.
And enough people didn't like it, and enough people got behind the guy that got taken off of it for the people that made it.
Taken off of it, he had a very bad family tragedy.
Taken off of it by his own circumstances. He wasn't kicked off, but like he had to leave.
No.
Sorry, I could have phrased that better. But no, but like life circumstances took him away from the movie, and it showed. Like. I was saying to you before we started recording, like, I don't know enough about, like, producers, directors to be like, that scene would have been made by so-and-so, and that's... I mean, obviously you have people like...
I definitely am not well-versed enough in that.
But, I mean, like, there's some movies that you can look at and be like, yeah, that's probably a Michael Bay movie. There's some movie, when we get to the Batman 89, you're definitely going to feel, like, the Tim Burton-ness of it. But, like... As a whole, like, if you tell me one movie was made by 2 people and tell me to say which scenes were made by who, I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I can look at a couple of different scenes and be like, okay, tonally and like the feel of the movie, that's not the same as that.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a mess. It is a bit of a mess about like how you feel watching it and how you receive some of the actions, some of the plot points, some of the character interactions, etc. I mean, they go back way too many times to just have this little side story of like Martha and Lois Lane are like really good friends because they're both sad that Clark died. Obviously they are, because it's one of their husbands and one of their sons, so they bond over that. But they go back to it like I think 4 times in the movie, and it's just like it's Thor in the pool. Like I would assume that they are friends. That's fine. Can we have some action stuff now?
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's gonna be cool. I think we're in new territory because first of all, they're breaking up a movie into a TV event, and second of all, like they're giving the public a brand new version of a movie that enough people. I don't want to say everybody rejected because we just said we liked it, but the fact that enough people said, "Nah, this is shit," for them to shell out the money to basically make the movie again.
Again, yeah.
Like that's, unless there's something I'm not thinking of, that's pretty unprecedented. There are people that say that there's another, now that we've talked about it a bunch, there are people that say there's another version of Batman versus Superman out there as well. So we could be having this conversation again in a couple months.
Yeah,
But
maybe they can find something good in that movie.
You're a hater.
I am, yeah. I hated that movie. That is a correct description of me and that movie, is that I am a hater of that movie because I did hate it.
You're letting them kill Martha.
I'm okay with that. Just like they should have killed that movie.
I don't know, that movie, okay. The one thing, even if you don't like
You know
it...
what else bothers me about that movie?
Christ.
Is the fact that the death of Superman is like a big fucking pivotal deal in the comics, and they wasted it on the second movie he was in. Number 2.
And then they gave it away at the end that he wasn't actually dead.
Exactly.
See, there's a comparison I'll give you, right? Like, we do the Marvel DC thing, whatever. When we got to the end of Avengers Infinity War, which was...
And they killed Tony Stark, it meant something.
No, Infinity War. Now, granted, Infinity War was a much better movie, backed up by 20 other much better movies. But when we got to the end, Thanos did the snap, half the world disappeared. We knew that they weren't actually dead.
But you were still devastated.
They let people... I went to see that movie 3 times in the theater. All 3 times, people left that theater silent.
Being like, holy fuck.
First time I left silent myself. I don't even remember who I was with, but it was whatever, right? Like, logically, we knew they were all coming, or a lot of them were coming back. There was a Black Panther movie coming out soon, there was a Spider-Man movie coming out soon, there was this, that, and the next thing. Every logical thing in your head said, yeah, they're not going to stay dead, right? They didn't have to say anything. They just let it be, because it's like, yeah, they're going to be back, but for now they're not. At the end of Batman v Superman, they did the thing with the dirt rising up off the casket. And it's like, well, fuck you. You just killed your own moment right there. I'll give you that. Plus, like, what's his name? Doomsday was just, like, bad leftover other Hulk animation.
Yes.
Which is what I will say.
It's basically the Abomination animation slightly tweaked.
Yeah. I will say my thing for most DC movies, or my criticism for most DC movies, and I will say this even floats into Wonder Woman, which we really, really like. I feel like most of their movies, whether you like where the stories are going or not, they build the story through like 90% of the movie, and it's pretty good, and you either like it or you don't, or you fit somewhere in the middle, but you follow the story, and the story pretty much clicks along all the way to the end, and the last 10% is they hand their graphics program over to their children, and let them do the last 20 minutes of the movie. And that's how every DC movie feels. And that's a little bit unfortunate. Anyways, I don't really have anything else to say, so we're going to switch over to the Suicide Squad, which has been described as a reboot/sequel to the first one. Obviously,
there's so many people in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go ahead and tell. I've already told you, but I'll go ahead and say what my fear is for. I didn't like the Suicide Squad movie either. I didn't think it was. I felt like it was trying too hard to be like Guardians of the Galaxy. And now that James Gunn is directing it, I'm terrified that it's just more of that. But maybe maybe instead of imitating, they get the actual version of it. Although I will say, not to shit all over whoever the last director of Suicide Squad was. After Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of a good chunk of superhero movies kind of took I know what we'll do. We'll have quirky characters and old-timey music.
Yeah, you know what it is? For me with Suicide Squad, and it's the same thing that I just said, like, it's, you meet some really cool characters, you develop a bit of stuff and whatever, and then you have, like, a really, really shitty CGI villain at the end, and that's definitely the case with Enchantress. What's her name? Chloe Sevigny, or whatever her thing is. Right before the end, where she's, like, playing up this whole, like, I'm trying to just live my normal life, but I've got this other thing trapped inside me, and it's really scary and whatever. I think she plays that reasonably well, while she's, like, normal and not a cartoon character.
Yeah.
But
she becomes a cartoon character very quickly.
And then they do weird voice, and I don't even think
and then they have that weird Jared Leto Joker side story that didn't need to happen.
Well, it did for the purposes of like how why can't I speak? The Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie.
She could, well, yeah, for the background for that, but it didn't have anything to do with the movie.
No, it didn't. But you know what? I stand on the island. It's like the Jared.
You're the only one on that island.
The Jared Leto Joker wasn't bad. Because
You're wrong.
Here's my thought on this, and you don't have to agree. Obviously, we're two people with two brains or whatever. I think what happened with the Jared Leto Joker is what happens every single time somebody recasts Batman or the Joker, which is why I love that we're doing the Joker thing that we've got coming up. Guys, please stay tuned. It's eventually going to happen. They went a different way with the Joker. People didn't like that direction with that character. I think Jared Leto did a great job in a direction that people didn't like, and that's not the same as him doing a bad job. People saying, oh, Jared Leto's Joker sucks. No, Jared Leto did a really good job of a version that you didn't like. And there is a difference, and I think there's a lot of people out there not willing to split that difference.
I'll let you have that opinion.
Okay. Because I get it. Like, people, like, didn't want to see him as, like, a regular gangster dude, like, running a club like he's fucking Lucifer. I get it. I do. But that was a different direction to go. It was a more... Even though he's tattooed to fuck, like, he's a less animated, more human in some ways version of the Joker that nobody really wanted to see. Like, people thought he wasn't necessary, which is fine. That's a good argument. I'll take it. But you not thinking it's necessary... or anybody not thinking it's necessary, doesn't mean that he did bad with it. The version that they wrote for him was a version that people didn't like. That's not the same as he did a bad job. And I think Jared Leto himself got shit on with valid shit that should have gone to other people, like writers, directors, storyboard people, whatever. That's my thing. Plus, I didn't mind it, so I'm biased.
I don't have much else to say about this current Suicide Squad, because there's a fuck ton of people in it.
I just want to talk about the cast, because that's basically what the promo did. Yeah. James Gunn, I love that James Gunn is doing this, only because James Gunn could stick it to Marvel a little bit, because Disney and Marvel tried to sort of like cancel culture him and threw him off the next
Guardians 3.
Off of Guardians 3, and then the fans were like, no, go fuck yourself, and the Guardians cast was like, no, go fuck yourself, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll hire him back, and by the time they hired him back, he'd been signed on to do this, so now Marvel has to wait, and I call that a win, because personally I think cancel culture is a bit of bullshit, so I'm cheering on James Gunn in this, and I hope it's good. If it's bad, I'll call it out and I'll say it's bad. But the first one was not amazing, but I had fun. So quickly, cast, because there's a lot. I pulled out the cast members that are relevant or that are from something that I can actually talk about. Obviously, Harley Quinn is still Margot Robbie. She's awesome. Amanda Waller is still Viola Davis. She's great. I like Viola Davis because I watched all the way through How to Get Away with Murder, and I think she's fantastic. Rick Flag, so Joel Kinnaman is back. Then we get into characters that I don't know at all, but Bloodsport...
Yeah, I had to look up a lot of these characters. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is.
But Bloodsport is played by Idris Elba. I mean,
he's Idris Elba, so...
there we go.
He's great at everything.
Peacemaker is played by John Cena. And Peacemaker has been defined both by James Gunn and by John Cena as douchey Captain America. Which I think is great.
I think he can pull that off.
Sean Gunn is playing Weasel, who looks like a weasel. It's pretty self-explanatory. He was also Rocket, so he's gone from being one rodent to being another rodent. And so we're bringing somebody from Guardians over to Marvel, or to DC. It's fine. Speaking of going from Marvel to DC, we got Michael Rooker playing a character called Savant. Michael Rooker, if you are a Walking Dead fan, was Merle. If you're a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, he was Yondu, and that's fine. I am super excited, especially after seeing Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. King Shark is in this movie. They've got somebody else doing the mocap for it, but the voice is going to be Taika Waititi. So Korg.
Okay.
That's all the names that stuck out to me as like people of reference. Two of the other actors, and I didn't write down their names, are like both popular like Swiss YouTubers.
Okay.
Like there's some guy like Bjorg something or other. He's playing Javelin because he's a guy that throws javelins. There's some weird guy that talks, or female, because it's been gender bent. There's some gender bent female character called Ratcatcher 2, and surprise, surprise, she controls rats. And
okay.
Half of these characters are going to die. Like, I think we're going in.
I mean, you can't have this big a cast with.
I don't know. It just looks like a big collection of big names, big personalities playing really, really wacky characters. There's somebody else in there called Polka Dot Man, and the polka dots do things.
There is a lot of characters that I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is. They are very deep in lore. Yeah. There's a guy in there, and I just thought of it just now. I don't know who's playing him because the actor didn't ring a bell to me, so I didn't write it down. But there's a character in there called TDK, which stands for the Detachable Kid, who apparently doesn't exist in DC lore, but is a throwback to a character. You'll love this. It's going to be great. Arms Fall Off Man. All right.
So you can pull off his arm and hit you with it.
Apparently, that's self-explanatory. All right.
It's a thing. It's fine.
I mean, it's not any less lame than the guy that throws javelins.
I mean, no,
there are a series of both Marvel and DC characters who are like, I'm just going to go to a sporting goods store and be really good at one thing in that store, and that's just going to be my thing.
Okay, but like go into another realm like horror. There was a kid who was disfigured, and they just put a hockey mask on him, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Like, the thing about movies, and
I know how I'm going to be a superhero. I'm going to go and attach a tetherball to the end of my arm.
Jesus Christ, just whip it around and bonk somebody.
Just whip it around like a mace.
Just
you
like
laugh. That's going to happen.
There's sometimes that you don't really have to explain stuff. You just tell people. You tell a certain section of the fan base that, like, this is what it is. They'll be like, okay. It's fine. It's wonderful. I want it to be like, what's the
waiting
movie?
For another character to be like badminton, and it throws like explosive, whatever you call those little things that you hit with badmintons.
Birdies?
At people. Birdies, yes.
You want Badminton Birdie Man?
Badminton Man. Or woman.
I want to know, and it'll probably pop up.
I mean,
probably...
technically that character does exist. There's a villain called Sportsmaster in the DC universe that his whole shtick is like, I just have like fucking javelins and hockey sticks and all sorts of like sporting goods equipment, and they explode.
I'm just waiting for like some writer to be like ... and then Godzilla showed up.
And then Godzilla showed up.
You thought you were getting Godzilla versus Kong. No, it's Godzilla versus the Suicide Squad.
All right, we're almost at 2 hours.
That's fine. We only got Batman left. And I intentionally
I'm
left
just saying, this is going to be a long-ass podcast.
That's fine. We have loyal listeners, you know. The longer we make them wait to hear from us, the longer we have to give them back.
Oh, is that what it is?
I have no idea.
It makes me think somebody goes, I don't have time for a 2-hour podcast.
Anyways.
But if you're still here, we love you.
The Batman with Robert Pattinson. Now get on your high horse about Robert Pattinson playing Batman.
I don't have a high horse. Like, I am not going to judge how he is, because from the trailers, I kind of like the idea of the, like, soft-spoken Batman. Like, he doesn't do the growly Batman voice kind of bullshit. I like the idea that he's terrifying because he's soft-spoken.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. I think that's what they're trying to play up with, like, the voice thing, but it's just like, it's all the bad versions of the effect that you had with Bane.
Exactly. My one issue, and it has nothing to do with how Robert Pattinson's going to play the character. When I see Robert Pattinson, I don't think Bruce Wayne. Like, he just doesn't have what I personally consider a Bruce Wayne look. And I'm sure there's other features that I could think of, but to me, really, it's that strong jawline. Like, I know if you think cheesy-wise, like if you think of the animated Batman movies or the animated Batman cartoons, where, like, literally all of them have a square jaw. It's just literally like
not everybody can draw their own face.
No, not everybody can draw their own face, but I think of the strong jawline, and I mean that's not Robert Pattinson's fault, and I'm not going to shit on the movie because of that.
So if Robert Pattinson was here in front of you right now, you'd be like, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Your face sucks."
It's not your fault. Your face doesn't. I don't think of Bruce Wayne when I look at your face. It's not your fault that you have a weak pussy-ass jawline.
I just like the whole...
That was mean. I didn't mean to say that.
I just like the whole thing of, like, how many years did it take for the vampire to become a bat? Which is really sad, because apparently he's done, like, a lot of serious shit after Twilight that I've never seen.
I hope it's going to be good, and that's not the reason if I don't like the movie, it's not going to be like, Robert Pattinson doesn't look like Bruce Wayne. Like, I'm going to have to think of something else other than that. But from the trailers, I kind of like what I'm seeing, other than when he is being Bruce Wayne.
Fair enough.
But you were right, you did bring up things in the trailer that are, like, really cool, because it's, like, only his, like, he's only been Batman for, like, a little while now, so, like, the hand-stitched mask and, like, how everything's, like, not quite pieced together yet. He's not it's not a fully fledged Batman yet. He's still, like, working out all the shit that Batman's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to use yet another Marvel comparison, but, like, everything he has right now seems to be, like, Mach 1.
Yeah.
Everything, like, all his outfits or whatever look like put together bits of, like, real shit. Like, any other Batman that we've seen in the past little while, like, none of that shit exists. Like, you made that shit, or a factory made that shit for you, or Lucius Fox used your entire empire to build that shit for you. Like, his Batmobile is basically a souped-up muscle car, which looks awesome. Apparently they formed the back of the car intentionally so that the back lights could be perceived as eyebrows or wings. The idea being A, like fear the bat type thing, or B, like he's always watching. I'm like, that's a bit much.
Okay, whatever.
The fact that the bat, and it's not really explained, but the bat symbol in his chest is an opened up gun handle. The speculation is that he actually took the gun that was used to kill his parents and like made it part of his chest plate. That could be an interesting,
Okay.
what do you call it, like symbolic thing that they could go for.
Yeah.
It is only year 2. He is still figuring his shit out and like how to carry that character and how to like use the character to be intimidating rather than just go around doing shit. So I think it's the scene where you see all the painted up guys and he just like wails the fuck out of them in the alleyway. Somebody described it as a video game player just hitting button mash, and then he does the I am vengeance thing. It's a frantic kind of violence, but it does look like a more violent movie than most Batman movies that we've seen. I do want to say, like, he's got the muscle car, and then he's got, like, a separate, like, bat cycle thing, which is a really cool deterrent from what we've had in the past couple of things, where literally he's had, like, mini tanks that, oh, here's a button, and I'll spit out a motorcycle out of my tank. Like, everything just makes it seem more real.
Okay.
In the thing. The cast is great. Robert Pattinson is 50-50. Like, we don't know what he's going to bring to the role because we haven't seen it. Again, gotta say, unfortunately, he's dealing with COVID right now. That's terrible. Catwoman is Zoe Kravitz. That could be fun. I don't really know. I'm really interested to see how Andy Serkis is going to do as Alfred. Because Andy Serkis is great. I think Andy Serkis is going to sink his teeth into any role where he's not just doing motion capture for some creature out there.
Or something else.
Yeah. We don't really see him in the trailer because he's all like done up and whatever. But Paul Dano, who I'm not particularly familiar with, is playing the Riddler. The Penguin is actually Colin Farrell under a lot of prosthetics. To the point where you don't even
know that it's him.
What? You don't even know. Yeah, you basically don't even know.
Yeah, you don't know that it's him.
Multiple. What's the word I'm looking for? Multiple members of the Rogues Gallery. There is no reference to Joker. Some people are guessing that painted up gang that he encounters in the alley in that really, really violent scene that I talked about a minute ago could be like Joker's henchmen, like as a precursor to there being a Joker in a later movie, because apparently there's supposed to be 3 of them. Apparently there's owls throughout the trailer. The most prominent one is in the first Riddle card that he gets. Apparently Court of Owls is again going to be something in one of the later movies. And apparently, on top of all that, we're dealing, because it's not District Attorney Harvey Dent, because it's young Batman, young Bruce Wayne, whatever. He hasn't been named, but it's being played by Peter Skarsgård. Skarsgård. I can never pronounce it properly. It's fine. But apparently he's dirty, and that's the stimulus for Riddler to start raging against the bad system, and why does everybody lie, and rah-de-rah-de-rah. So it could be quite layered. 3 villains is a lot. 3 villains and a new Batman in one movie is a lot. So I don't know whether we get into that whole, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag scenario, or whether it just ends up being a really long movie. If it's a really long, dark, gritty, violent movie, I'm down for that. If they try to keep it to a relatively confined time and try to put all those different bits of information into it, I think it could burst at the seams a little bit. But that's Batman. That's all we know about the Batman right now.
That's all I got, too.
So, what are you looking most forward to?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman?
Hands down.
I'd say Wonder Woman is a very, very close second to Batman for me. Everything else is just, that looks like it's going to be really fun. Let's see what happens. Batman and Wonder Woman, sort of like 1 and 1A, are what I'm looking most forward to at the moment. And we got a shit ton of Marvel stuff, but we haven't had a Marvel convention yet. Rumors are that that's going to all happen at D23, because obviously Disney is Disney. And we'll do something when that comes out. But the plan is, right now, Now, once we get this out there, the next thing we're going to do, whenever you hear from us again, is going to be the Joker trilogy, starting with Batman 89. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Kristen, tell them where to find you.
You can find me on Twitter at BlackCatFeline. You can find me on Instagram at BlackCatFeline.
And you can find me here, or on Twitter at SpazPhoenix, or on Twitter at SpazPhoenix1, or on Instagram at SpazPhoenix, or look on Facebook for the Spaz Phoenix Podcast Facebook group. But until next time, I've been Spaz, she's been Kristen, we have been FlixFix, and we will see you later.
Bye.